Hi, I'm Minnie for Group 20. My group will present about first past the post system, and these are my group members. Now, I'll present about first past the post system used in the United Kingdom. Election is the fundamental part for a democracy country. This is because people are given the rights to choose representatives to represent them and govern on their behalf through election. In the United Kingdom, first past the post used as an electoral system to elect members of parliament in 650 constituencies. In the first past the post system, the candidate that wins the most votes in each constituency will become member of parliament for that area. First past the post system has been used in the United Kingdom since the 1950 election. During the election day, voters will be given a ballot paper that listing all of candidates in their constituency. Voters have to put a cross next to the name of the candidate that they support. When the political party won at least 326 seats out of 656, it will become the winning party in the election and will form a government. However, first past the post system can sometimes result in hung parliament. This happens when no party holds a majority of seats in the election. In such cases, the party with the most seats will be asked to form a government with another party that has minority seats. From that, it will become a coalition government. A notable example of this occurred during the 2010 election, in which no party won majority seats. So the Conservative Party, which holds majority seats, invited Liberal Democracy to form a coalition government. That's all for my part. Thank you.
My name is Eng Jiami, and I'm here today to talk about the first past the post system, electoral system of strength and weakness. First of all, for the electorate, the first past the post system offers several strengths and weaknesses. Strong constituency ties and simplicity, which are especially apparent in the UK setting, are key factors in the first past the post system's ongoing appeal. Rather than navigating complex preferential voting schemes or party lists to identify proportional alternatives, voters simply mark one option under a simple winner-takes-all FPTP mechanism. It resulting in significant voter clarity. The less of politically engaged groups are more likely to participate because of this simplicity. According to a 2018 assessment by the Electoral Reform Society, 72% of UK voters were able to accurately name their MP under FPTP, compared to only 34% under Germany's mixed member system. The constituency service imperative is the observable propensity of FPTP elected officials to give priority to local concern and casework to win re-election to further reinforce this localized responsibility according to Curtice. Secondly, unlike more complex systems, FPTP deliver quick and clear election results. In the UK, winners are often announced within hours of poll closing. In contrast, countries with proportional representation like Germany can take weeks to reform a government after elections. This fast decision-making helps maintain political stability, especially during uncertain times. Another benefit is cost efficiency. According to the UK Electoral Commission 2019 report, general election under FPTP costs roughly $1.5 per registered voter, while Ireland more intricate single transferable vote system costs $3.2 per voter. The saving comes from simple ballot designs, no need for second round voting, and less voter education. Furthermore, because of their simple counting processes, FPTP system needed 30% less poll worker per capita than proportional system. According to electoral management, a system that produces timely, cost-effective and operationally manageable election has indisputable value, especially in large democracies, where logistical complexity can compromise. In addition, the disadvantage is the millions of voters can also become electorally useless due to the first-past-the-post system, which leads to a crisis of democratic legitimacy with real impact. Most people in the UK were left without direct representation after an amazing of 22.6 million voters were essentially squandered in the 2019 general election, either by endorsing losing candidates or by surprising the number of voters required for winners to win seats. As seen by the fact that 31% of respondents acknowledged tactical voting in 2017, such as Remain supporters reluctantly supporting Labour in Conservative held marginal despite disputes over Brexit policy. This systematic inefficiency compels people to make cynical calculations. The psychological effect is quantifiable over the course of 3 election cycles. Seats with greater percentages of wasted voters had 11% lower voter turnout, according to the British election study. The way the FPTP denies third-party supporters the right to vote is very harmful. Liberal Democrats lost 74% of their voters in 2019, which explains why 48% of its 2015 voters left the party by 2017, not because they had changed their minds, but rather because they were merely following their instincts for electoral survival. These distortions are not merely theoretical, they have changed actual policy outcomes. According to Electoral Reform Society analysis, significant parliamentary voters on austerity and Brexit in 2017, 19 could have had different majorities under proportional systems. Democracy becomes less about group decision making and more about calculated guesswork when voters are forced to manipulate the system rather than cast genuine voters.
Hi, I am Hokashen, and I'm going to talk about the Electoral Commissions with first past the post system in UK. According to the Section 4A subsection 2 of the Political Parties, Elections and Referendum Act 2000, the section includes the government's strategic and policy priorities regarding elections, referendums, and other issues over which the Commission has jurisdiction, including the Commission's role and responsibilities in assisting the governments in achieving those priorities. The Commission's functions and responsibilities are stated in the legislations that has been approved by the Parliament. The Electoral Commission is an independent regulatory body that is responsible for providing advice and assistance to electoral registrations officers and returning officers to ensure the electoral registrations, elections, and recall petitions are conducted correctly and in compliance with the law. The Commission produced statutory reports on election events and recall petition, and it established performance requirements for these officers' work in Great Britain. In addition, it is the role of registering political parties, advising candidates and outside campaigners on election regulations, and controlling the amount of the money that is donated to and spent by the political parties or other campaigners. The Electoral Commissioners and the Commission's executive leadership will continue to be accountable for establishing the Commission's strategy, priorities, and the allocation of its resources, and the way it should fulfill its responsibilities as specified by the respective parliament. The Commission will have to decide how to incorporate the statement to its corporate documents, including the 5-year plan and decisions-making procedures. The statement aims to improve the Electoral Commission's responsibilities
to the UK Parliament in the performance of the duty. Thank you, that is all of my part.
Hi, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to talk about potential reform to first past the post system. FPTP produced highly disproportionate outcomes, particularly when translating votes into seats. For example, in a 2024 UK general election, the Labour Party won approximately 34% of the national vote, yet it secured 63% of the seats in Parliament. Conversely, smaller parties such as the Green Party or Reform UK received a significant portion of the vote but won very few seats or none at all. This discrepancy illustrates how FPTP rewards geographic concentration of support rather than overall national popularity, leading to a distortion in parliamentary representation. Numerous commentators, including writers from The Guardian and The Times, have argued that such results undermine democratic legitimacy. A growing portion of the electorate views the system as outdated and ill-suited to a modern multi-party democracy. As voter diversity increases and political preferences fragment, a system that systematically favors the two largest parties at the expense of others becomes less defensible. Prominent academic institutions and policy thinkers have proposed several electoral reforms to address the weakness of FPTP. According to the London School of Economics, LSE, and Queen's University Belfast, proportional systems such as proportional representation (PR) or mixed member proportional (MMP) could produce fairer, more inclusive outcomes. One influential proposal came from the Jenkins Commission, established by the UK government in 1997. The Commission recommended an AV Plus system which blends the alternative vote, ranked choice voting with a form of proportional representation. Under this model, voters would rank candidates in single-member constituencies, while additional seats will be distributed to compensate for national proportionality. This hybrid system aims to maintain the local constituency link while improving overall fairness. Alternative Vote AV itself was put to a national referendum in the UK in 2011 but was rejected. Critics argued that AV was not truly proportional and that public understanding of the system was limited. However, the defeat of AV does not negate the possibility of other, more effective reforms such as MMP, which have seen success in other democracies. Several other Commonwealth countries have also replaced or reformed their use of FPTP in favour of more representative systems. New Zealand is a prominent example. After a series of elections in which FPTP produces distorted results, the country held a binding referendum in 1993. As a result, New Zealand adopted the mixed-member proportional system in 1996. The new system has since led to more proportional outcomes, higher voter satisfaction, and a broader representation of parties in parliament. Australia also provides a compelling model. It uses the alternative vote system for its lower house and the single transferable vote (STV) for its upper house. This system has allowed for a greater expression of voter preferences and have reduced the number of wasted votes. By encouraging preferences-based voting, Australia has fostered a more cooperative and less adversarial political culture while still producing functional governments. In closing, the first-past-the-post system may have once served a purpose in simpler political times, but today its increasing fails to reflect the voice and values of a diverse, modern electorate. As we've seen from the experience of New Zealand, Australia, and others, fair and more inclusive alternatives do exist and they work. Reforms is not about benefiting any one party, It's about strengthening democracy itself. It's about ensuring that every vote counts equally, that every voice matters, and that Parliament truly reflects the will of the people. As we look to the future, we must ask ourselves, do we cling to tradition, or do we embrace a system that is more just, more representative, and more responsive to the realities of the 21st century? The time for honest, informed debate is now, and so too is the time for change. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amos. Today, I will be comparing the use of first past the post system with its application in other Commonwealth countries. In the UK, whoever received the most votes in a constituency wins under the straightforward first past the post system. Even if a party doesn't receive more than half of the seats, the method still allows them to form a majority of seats nationwide. Stated differently, a party can attain a large number of seats without obtaining a plurality of votes. In 2015, for example, UKIP received 12.6% of the vote but only managed to win one seat. But the SNP received 4.7%, still managed to win 56 seats. In the case of Morgan and Simpson, an election was declared unlawful due to the failure to count 44 unstamped ballots that could have changed the outcome. When the rules were broken, there was no legal protection for the first past the post result. So, what does other Commonwealth countries do? While Canada considered changing it with British Columbia referendum failures in 2005 and 2009, but still kept it. With the article by Andrea Blythe, 57.7% supported change, but it needed 60, highlighting how first past the post tends to preserve the existing state of affairs in single-member systems. For instance, Justin Trudeau's Liberals formed a minority government with just a 33% vote, but still won the most seats in 2019. While in India, it tends to benefit large national parties, but regional parties have also thrived due to strong local support. In 2019 Lok Sabha elections, BJP won 37.4% of the vote but secured 55% of the seats. Meanwhile, the opposition votes were split among many parties, leading to BJP domination. While the Malaysian first past the post systems noted for its simplicity and providing a clear-cut choice for electors, the system, which commonly supports stability and coherence of government, is based on single-member district. The victorious candidate is simply the person who wins the most votes, even his votes is less than half of total valid votes. In 2013, Barisan Nasional won 60% of seats, with only 47% of the popular vote, due to uneven constituency sizes and gerrymandering. This makes the public cause for electoral reform. New Zealand originally used first past the post but switched to MMP, which is mixed member proportional, in 1993 after public dissatisfaction. MMP allows for fairer representation of smaller parties. In an MP, voters has two votes, one to vote for a party, the other one for their local MP, allowing smaller parties like the Green Party, a political party that focuses on environmental issues, social justice and sustainability, to consistently enter parliament. While in Australia, uses alternative vote system for its House of Representatives, not first past the post. Voters rugby candidates, which helps reduce vote wasting and allows more accurate reflection of voters' preferences. So, how first past the post system endures in the UK and Canada? The article by Andrea Kaiser points out that in the UK, first past the post tends to concentrate power in large parties, making it tough for smaller voices to be heard. However, when the New Zealand switched to a proportional system, MMP, it created a more diverse parliament. The article shows how first past the post shapes the way opposition works differently across these countries. The article by Lundberg also compares why electoral reform succeeded in New Zealand but failed in the UK and Canada. It explains that first past the post still running in the UK and Canada mainly because major parties didn't want to lose their advantage. In New Zealand, there was strong public support and political will for change. This makes it clear on how political culture and public pressure shape whether countries hold on to or move away from first past the post. So, to conclude, first past the post in the UK creates clear winners and stable governments but left many voters feeling unheard. Legal cases like Morgan case shows that even winning candidates can lose their seats if procedural rules are violated. Across the Commonwealth, first past the post persists in many countries, but others, like New Zealand, have shifted toward more proportionate system to better reflect voter preferences. These two articles by Kaiser and Lundberg shows that first past the post system endures in the UK and Canada due to political resistance, while New Zealand shows reform is still possible.
Hi, my name is Kaishan. So I'm now going to present about the first past the post system used in Malaysia and electoral commission with first past the post system. So Malaysia employs the first past the post electoral system to elect member of parliament for the Dewan Rakyat and State Assemblyman. This system operates with single members districts, meaning each constituency elects one representative. According to Article 116 subsequent 2, the number of constitution equals the number of members, with one members elected for each. So for state assemblies, based on the Article 117, it is provided that each state is divided into the constituency according to the number of the members to be elected, as stated in the 30th Schedule at all. So the number of representatives per state is determined under the Article 46 and the 30th Schedule. So elections are held at least once for every 5 years. A practice consistently follows since independence in year 1957. So in each constituency, the voters will choose one candidate, and the candidate with the most votes will win. So even without an absolute majority, for example, candidate A received 40% and B got 35% and C got 25%. So the candidate A will still win, narrowly defeating Harapan's Liu Qingdong. This is according to the G14 BS, Wee Ka Xiong won the Ayr Hitam seat with 43.98%. So the Liu Qingdong, who got 43.2%, and while PS Martin Mara had 12.82%, and even though with a majority, Wee Ka Xiong represented the entire constituency. So the Election of Census Act 1944 and Section 13 subsequent 1 of the Election Act 1968 state that the candidate with the most valid votes is duly elected. So since the first past the post involves geographic participation, the process of defining electoral boundaries, commonly referred to as redistricting, is crucial for creating easily accessible, representative and equitable election districts. So the Malaysian elections include the Constitution and the Election Act of 1958 years, which are periodically revised. So the Constitution established the first past the post system and describe how the election commission is organized and what it conducts. According to Article 140 subsequent 1 of the Federal Constitution, the Young Diputat Agong will choose the Election Commission after consulting with the Court of Rulers. So it will be made out of a chairman of the board, a deputy chairman, and 3 additional members. So according to Article 114 subsequent 2 of the Federal Constitution, when electing commissioners of the Election Commission, the Young Diputat Agong must consider the necessity of establishing the election commission that has popular trust. So according to Section 4B, Part 2 of the 30th Schedule to the Federal Constitution, representation with respect to the purpose recommending may be made to the Election Commission within 1 month after the date of publication of the notice. So I think Malaysia's first past the post electoral system formed by more than 6 decades of one party of minority government has played a significant role in the country's democratic deficits. While gerrymandering was always around, it's become much more problematic during the 1974 redeliberation process. So upon independence, the Red Constitutional Commission helped to build the groundwork for Malaysia's political system by establishing a constitutional monarchy, a federal framework, and a Westminster-like style election system. So the system was built around procedural democracy principles such as free political association, transparent campaign, and a dedication to fair elections. So these democratic protections were intended to be protected through legislative and constitutional safeguards. So with responsibility for election management given to an independent commission. Based on the data compiled from development in Malaysia, which are election assessment in 2000 and the Election Commission statistics, it is apparent that in practically every federal election, the majority part has won quite a few seats in parliament as it goes in voters. So meanwhile, opposition parties sit due to the first past the post system and the way constituencies are drawn. So this results in an unfair outcome in which many votes do not have their voices represented in the Dewan Rakyat. So as noted in the Sedar Institute's report 2025, this is not merely a matter of numbers because it affects real individuals whose votes may not be adequately reflected. To ensure fair and equitable representation, it is imperative that the Parliamentary Select Committee explore alternative electoral system that uphold the principle of equal representation. Yes. So, in my research in the 1994 book, The Conduct of Election in Malaysia, Abdul Rashid Abdul Rahman, who is the previous chairman of the EC, outlined the benefits of the first past the post system, including its practicality and simplicity, the ability for voters to choose their candidates, the ability for a single party to win more than half of the seats needed to form a government, and the speed with which results are delivered. So yes, reducing tensions and post-election instability. So this is all my presentation. Thank you.
I'm Chen Yixuan, and I'll be comparing the first past the post system with other electoral systems. So other than the first past the post system, there are also other electoral systems, which include alternative vote and single transferable vote. These three different electoral systems vary significantly in how votes are cast, counted, and translated into representation. First past the post is a plurality system where voters cast a single vote for one candidate in a single-member constituency, and the candidate with the most votes wins, even if they do not secure a majority. This simplicity and speed of counting are its main advantages, and it is widely used in countries such as the United Kingdom and the United States. However, first past the post has been criticized for producing disproportionate outcomes where a party can win a large majority of seats with only a minority of the popular vote. It also often leads to wasted votes and encourages tactical voting, as voters may feel pressured to support a more viable candidate instead of their genuine preference. In contrast, the alternative vote attempts to improve representativeness in single-member districts by allowing voters to rank candidates in order of preference. If no candidate receives more than 50% of the first choice votes, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated, and their votes are redistributed based on second preferences. This process continues until one candidate achieves a majority. Used in Australia for its House of Representatives, AV also promotes majority support, reduces the incentive for tactical voting, and discourages extreme candidates, since success often depends on gaining second or third preference votes from a broad electorate. However, AV is not proportional, meaning that the overall seat distribution in a parliament may still not reflect the national vote share of each party. While it offers more voter choice than first past the post, it can still disadvantage smaller parties and takes more time to count. The single transferable vote system is a proportional voting method used in multi-member constituencies, such as in Ireland and Malta. Voters rank candidates, and to be elected, a candidate must reach a specific quota of votes calculated based on the number of seats and votes cast. Once a candidate reaches the quota, surplus votes are transferred to other candidates based on voters' next preferences. If no one reaches the quota, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated, and their votes are redistributed. This process repeats until all seats are filled. Single transferable vote provides highly proportional outcomes, allows for nuanced voter expression, and minimizes wasted votes. It tends to foster coalition governments and better represent minority and independent candidates. However, it is more complex and may be harder for voters to understand, and the vote counting process is significantly more complicated and time-consuming. In summary, while first past the post is simple and often results in stable single-party governments, it lacks fairness and proportionality. Alternative vote offers a middle ground with improved voter expression and majority support in constituencies, but still falls short of proportionality. Single transferable vote stands out for its fairness and proportional outcomes, though its complexity presents challenges in administration and public understanding. So that is pretty much it for my group's presentation, and here are the references that we have used. Thank you.